Hello, welcome to the latest episode of the Silverfox podcast. This is episode number 57, by the way. And at the end of the podcast, if you don't already know, click on the follow or subscribe button. We are everywhere on Apple Podcast, on YouTube, Spotify, you name it. And today we have a special edition, episode 57, and it's all about the Suzuki Cup. And the Suzuki Cup, by the way, is coming home. And by the way, it's also called the AFF Cup, officially known as the AFF Cup, sponsored by Suzuki. And Singapore is playing host. Since 2014, this is the first time, and they last hosted in 2014, and Singapore has won it 4 times. 1998, 2004, 2007, and 2012. We have the winner of the first one in 1998, and the winner of the last time we won in 2012. And also to look ahead to the competition in December, since it's coming home, right? What a way to do this. Welcome to the Silverfox Hustle podcast, Mr. R Sasikumar and Hariss Harun.
Thank you.
Hello, and good to be back on your show.
Thank you. Yep, you were on the show, and Hariss was too, but Hariss, he was online and during circuit breaker. Now, before we start off with the Suzuki Cup, let's talk a little bit about you, what you guys have been doing. Sasi, we start off with you. You had a Spanish adventure for about 5 weeks. How was that?
Yeah, it was an amazing trip to Spain. Of course, much to the envy of a lot of people who saw my post on Facebook and started cursing me that I had
You did that on purpose, right?
I think so, yeah. And I had all the freedom to travel and enjoy myself in Spain. Yeah, it was good. I was there for partly work reasons and also some personal capacity. But I watched a lot of football.
Yeah.
From amateur football, from 3rd division all the way up to Champions League football.
Yeah.
And as you know, Europe and Spain is the home of football. So I would say blessed, and thankfully didn't come back with COVID. So
yes, of course.
Thank you, and and very grateful for that too.
You speaking of that, right? How is the situation there? Like it's like open without masks, people walking around, having parties, watching games. How is that?
Yeah. So just to give you a little bit of a scenario, I landed in Barcelona. As I was walking through immigration, they asked me for my vaccination.
Okay.
So I took out the certificate, and because I have a Singapore passport, we have to be thankful because they feel that we are honest and we don't cheat, and we are law-abiding. So I was out of the airport, and in the square in Barcelona in 40 minutes having a drink. So that was how easy and how fluid the situation was.
Nice. Well, from Sasi's Spanish adventure, we go to Hariss Harun's first ever SPL, Singapore Premier League title win for you yourself personally, and that is a out of this thing stat, that we know that this is the first time you ever won the league, right? How was it yesterday? And by the way, the game was yesterday, right?
Yeah, it was such a relief for us, especially given how the season was turning out. It was a roller coaster of a season. I think not only for the fans but for the players as well. Lots of ups and downs, and we're just glad that we got over the finish line when it mattered most. So yeah, it's my first SPL title, and hope for many more to come.
Yeah. We wish you all the best as well, and just an update on your injury, because people who are listening and watching in, they are very worried, my friend, right? Because the Suzuki Cup is coming. How is that? What's the injury update like?
Yeah, I felt something on my quads in the first half, so I didn't feel comfortable, and I felt that I couldn't give my best if I continued. Couldn't help the team, so I came off as a precaution. Yeah. Saw a doctor, so it looks like it's going to be fine, but I have to do some rehab. So yeah, hopefully I'll be ready for the Suzuki Cup. Yeah.
Nice. Wish you all the best there. Well, let's now dig in and talk about the Suzuki Cup itself, right? Sasi, Suzuki Cup. What does that word or 2 words Suzuki Cup means to you? Just one look at it.
Yeah, it's different, right? Because when I was playing, it was called the Tiger Cup.
Yes.
That's how long ago that was, right? But we know it's the same version. It's just a different sponsor. To me, it brings me back to the day where I enjoyed good success with football for good or bad reasons. My career in football is summarized by that one event that happened and how it happened. Like I said, very proud and honored and very appreciative that my otherwise what would have been a very uneventful career just took my personal brand, my football, the whole meaning to why I was a professional football to another level.
Yeah, so you in a way owed it to the Tiger Cup at that time.
In that sense, I think very grateful, and I also feel that that generation of players, if you look, we were not given a chance to even win that tournament. So much so that there was just one media that went over there, and nobody gave us a chance, and we, were against all odds, and we came out, which then I like to think then opened the doors for the next generation of players to go.
We will touch on that a little bit later on. How about you, Hariss? We talk about the Suzuki Cup, and you won it the last time we did it, right, in 2012. What does that mean to you?
It was special. I think for me, particularly to be involved in that campaign, because I wasn't so lucky in the previous campaigns, because of I missed those campaigns because of injuries. So to come and play, that was my first Suzuki Cup, and yes, I got injured during that campaign as well. But to have gone on and won, it was such a relief, and to be part of that team, it was special. Yeah. Definitely.
Before we go into specifics in terms of 2012 and 1998, right, I just want to ask you this question, and I wanted to ask you in a different way. I will rephrase it, right? We won it 4 times, right? It's a big thing, right? Do you think that we didn't really ride on that momentum and push on to further things? Because I wanted to ask you guys, should we be concentrating on other things besides the Suzuki Cup, the AFF? We should be probably thinking about the Asian Cup qualification and stuff. But I will try to rephrase that without being rude, right? Should we be disappointed that we didn't ride on that momentum? Because we won that, and why couldn't we just push on and do something else? Anyone?
So let me maybe jump in here, right? In '98 when we won, Barry, then the coach, was leaving, and then Vincent Subramanian took over. Like every coach, what the coach does is he changes the team.
Yeah.
Not knowing that Barry spent 4 years assembling the team.
Yeah.
Because we were part of the Olympic team. And if you look at the Tiger Cup team that won, 80% of the players were from the Olympic team.
Right.
Then we had a few seniors like Kade, Nazri, and all these guys, Rafi. But when Vincent came, he tried to do something different, like all coaches do. So I think immediately when we went to the Daniel Cup afterwards, we got kicked out. And eventually in Songkla, the next edition, we didn't even make the next round.
Right.
There is a problem in football when you don't have continuity, even though Vincent was the assistant at the time when we won it.
Okay.
But for whatever reasons, and if you got 3 more days, we can talk about Singapore football and why we didn't move to the next level. But in my own humble opinion is, and I've said this many times, and I've also been critical of the Suzuki Cup or the Tiger Cup, is because then it becomes our World Cup. And we don't think past the Suzuki Cup. And if we are to achieve a lot more things, and the man who's achieved a lot more is sitting next to me, he will tell you about what it means to win the AFC Cup and those sort of competitions, right? So I think we really, really at some point should step back and say it's good to win the Suzuki Cup, but that's not the end of the world for us.
Right. And again, listen, don't try to get me wrong, right? Because if I'm asking you, and you are in the squad, of course I want to win the Suzuki Cup, right? So don't get me wrong, because you want to win the Suzuki Cup. But do you think that we should have, and you won it the last time in 2012, right? And the past 3 times you didn't even get past the group stages. Do you think that we could have ridden on or rode on the momentum?
Yeah, I think we got the script all wrong. I'm not sure about the earlier campaigns, but especially so in the last one that we won. We had a good team, but we had a lot of aging players. And then, if you remember, Reddy left right after that campaign, and came Bern. So when Bern came in, he was all for young players, which is not wrong. But I think the transition took place too quickly.
Okay.
So the likes of outwent the likes of Farah, Alex Durish retired from international football, and I think a lot of I wouldn't say old heads, but senior players who could have still contributed to that transition, which could have taken a little bit longer to ease the young players in, give them a taste of international football. They could have helped with that process, but I think the transition took place too fast. The players weren't ready for to take that next step up, and we just lost direction, and we went 2 steps back. So like you yourself mentioned, we haven't qualified from the group ever since. So I think we have to start again. Yes, Suzuki Cup is for me personally, like you said, I mean, the team, you want to win it. I think it has to be used as a springboard, as a stepping board to higher things. You have to win it first. The likes of Thailand and Vietnam, they won the Suzuki Cup before qualifying for Asian Cup quarterfinals and the last round of the World Cup qualifying. So you have to go and give your best, try to win that tournament, and and try to get to the next level. Yeah.
Well put. Harry spoke about scripts, getting the script wrong. In 1998, the script was perfect, was right up to the end, right? Tell us, I think you have told me probably and told the rest of the world in podcasts, in stories with the relatives and what have you with your friends probably a million times, right? Tell us about 1998 and how special that was, because you said it at the beginning. Nobody, and I think even the players didn't give yourself a chance. No, some of you, I'm sure. Right? How was it?
If you remember and you recall, it's a long time ago, right? It's 20 over years ago. But a lot of the senior players actually pulled out of the tournament. A lot of them cited injuries.
Like who?
Tong Hai wasn't there.
Okay.
V. Selvaraj wasn't there.
Okay.
Fandi is already retired by then. Stephen Tan wasn't there. So there were like 6 or 7 of the senior boys that decided not to go for the tournament for various reasons, which then kind of forced Barry's hand to play the Olympic team players like myself and Mani and Gusta, Samawira and Zul Zainal and all these players that...
Hariss, you know all these guys, right?
I watched them.
How old were you in 1998?
I was 8.
Okay, nice, very nice. This is nice.
Yeah. So and even if you recall, the younger ones in the squad like Amal Latif and Indra unfortunately had to pull out. He pulled out.
Okay.
But Amal Latif was leading the line with Rafi Ali, right? So and if you look at those guys, they wouldn't have necessarily played, like us would have not necessarily played if the senior players were there.
True.
So, and that's probably the reason why a lot of people said, this team is just going there to participate. But I still recall, and I probably said this a few times as well in different podcasts and shows, the first ever meeting that we had in Ho Chi Minh after Barry kind of gave us a pep talk before the start of the tournament. We all went to Nazri's room, and Nazri, if I have to say, I mean, I played with him for a long time in the national team and all that. That was the first time I ever saw leadership from him. Like, he was really a leader. He truly felt that he was there to lead the team.
Right. Nice.
And before that, he was, when you have the likes of Fandi and Malik and David, he couldn't really be the guy. But in that tournament, he was the guy. Like, he was the guy that turned up and said, this is the way we're going to do it, right? And as we left that meeting, I felt that with all the other teams that I've been with since 95 breaking into the national team, we have chats before tournaments, but it's just lip service, right? But that one, everybody looked around and said, actually, I think we can do it. Like
What was so different about that talk by Nazri?
So I would say that he opened up his heart, and I'll tell you this, he came on my show and we were talking about this, he cried on my show.
Wow. Okay.
Because he was emotional about it. I can tell why he was emotional, because it meant a lot to him. Like, he was the guy then, that time he was leading things. And he told us that we have a chance to do something for ourselves. And then he said, all you young guys, you've been waiting for years for your turn, which was true. We were waiting very patiently, unlike, with no disrespect to the team today, people can walk in and out, and which is true. But that back then, you have to wait for your turn. Like, I had to wait till Tong Hai retired, right? That was a long time, right? You have to wait till things happen for other players, right? Because that's the way it is. You wait for your turn, right? Yeah. But he turned around and said, this is your moment, like your time to step up and be counted. So I think that was the turning point for us. And the tournament wasn't easy. We had to fly from Ho Chi Minh to Hanoi, to Ho Chi Minh. And then with whatever happened with Thailand and Indonesia in the semi-final. So there's a lot of things that happened along the way. But the team showed character, real character. Yeah. And I must say that we have some really, really talented players. I mean, I recall back and look at the likes of Amal Latif Kamaruddin. At that time, I think Latif was the best striker in Southeast Asia, without a doubt. And then he was playing alongside Rafi, who was very experienced, allowed him to do the work. And then we had the likes of Gusta, Samawira, and even I will go even to like Bernard Lim Soon Seng. He was a young player of the year that year in the league. And then he came on and ran. Like, he can run for 3 days, and when we are dying, we need a player like that who can run for 3 days. So we had a nice team. And funny enough, I tell you, when I was in Barcelona, there's a Singaporean lawyer living there. So he met up with me. He brought the AFC magazine when I was on the front cover after we won the Thai Cup, and he gave it to me as a present. That was a nice touch. 20-something years ago, he found the magazine online, bought it, and gave it to me when he met me in Barcelona. So it meant something for some people back then.
Yeah, beautiful memories, right? Who was, to you, in your opinion, was the standout performer in terms of performance?
Two were outstanding.
Okay.
Like two were outstanding. Amal Latif was outstanding.
Right.
Rizal Hassan.
Yeah. Okay.
Rizal was out of this world. Like I tell you, in the final, there was one shot from that player called Hong San. The whole game, Mani had him in his pocket.
Okay.
Like Mani had him in his pocket.
Right.
When he got out of the pocket, he took one shot, and the ball was going towards the top corner, and Rizal saved it. And throughout the tournament, he was amazing. But I must say that was a unit, lah. There was a lot of players you look at the likes of the quiet ones or the one that don't pop out, like Rudy Kairon. He went on to do his work. Samawira Basri, Vira is always great. Then you look at Zulkarnain Zainal. I mean, the back line as a unit, we considered one goal in the whole group stage, and then we considered another goal in the semi-finals. And so.
Now, Hariss, you were 8, right?
Yeah.
Did you watch this game by any chance, or
No, it was just the last game, Blade of God.
you watched the game?
Yeah.
You did at 8.
Yeah. No, I obviously at 8 you don't watch the 90 minutes.
Yeah, I know,
You
but
have,
but you did, you know of what's going on and stuff
I
like
knew
that,
the
right?
rest, yeah.
How important do you think that played a role in a young boy?
I was ecstatic, man. I was just so happy, man. Like, it was crazy. Like, I mean, I didn't, of course, right now, I didn't know the technicalities of it, like football. And
okay.
like, Singapore didn't, I mean, we didn't have a chance before the tournament. We weren't favourites and blah, blah, blah. And what happened between Thailand and Indonesia and all this. I know of it now, but back then, like, to know that we won a cup, like, wow. And what a way to score a goal, like it just blew me away, so.
And it is nice to know that something like that. And let's take away the blade of God or whatever. Let's take away that the win itself.
Yeah.
Like it played a significant role in a youngster.
It's funny you say that, because why I say that he was 8. I took my son both my sons to watch the
game last night.
Yeah, Steelers play.
Yeah.
And my younger one, he's 8.
Okay.
And he, as you know, he plays football, right?
Yeah.
And both of them really wanted to meet Hariss and take a photo with him.
Okay.
And then they bugged me the whole night, because it was after the game, and even though I know he would have done it for us, but it's just we had to wait. So funny that you say at 8 he watched me play. Now my sons at 8 are watching him play.
That's the magic of football.
Yeah, that's the
brilliant,
magic of football.
isn't it?
And he is being a real role model to my kids.
Yeah.
And I say it in all truth, because they talk about him all the time at home.
It comes one full circle, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's crazy. You think about that. Now, you spoke about 1998, the first time Singapore won it. The last time Singapore won it was in 2012. Hariss, speak us through that. It must have been a dream come true, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I couldn't, hold back that pride to represent Singapore, especially in KL. We were playing the defending champions in our first game. I think it was pretty similar in the aspect that nobody really gave us a chance. We didn't have good results going into that tournament.
Okay.
Yeah, we weren't the favourites, definitely. And I remember Farah was mentioning recently in some media that we only beat Pakistan 4-0 just one game.
Before the
tournament, nobody. We just went for a 2 weeks training or 3 weeks training camp in Japan, and then we came back, played one game, and we went for the tournament in KL. So, but it was Raddy's last tournament, so we knew that he was leaving after that campaign, and he gave a lot of us our break in international football, like our first caps, and we were really grateful to him, how he was towards us as a coach and as a father figure for a lot of us, and we wanted to give him a good send off, and I think we just came together as a team, and from that first game, I think that was crucial in setting the tone for the tournament. We had a little bit of blip with Indonesia, and Laos was a bit of a scare. We had to come back from behind, but I think that first game kind of set the tone for the whole tournament.
At which point did you think that we got a chance here?
I think when we got past Philippines in the semi-final, Philippines was a strong team. I think they had a lot of naturalized players,
right.
and it was tough to play away. And when I saw that the boys actually held on and put in a resilient performance away in the Philippines, I knew that when we came back to Jalan Besar, we had them in the pocket, because on that turf nobody plays better than us. I mean, the boys a lot of the boys were in the Lions 12. We were training day in, I mean week
Yeah,
in, week out, every
okay.
day on that pitch. You know, we were so used to it, and when we won the return leg 1-0. So like we were just so confident, and that second leg I think was crucial. We knew that, you know, whoever we play in the final, we can go all the way.
And you know, people, I know people start complaining about pitches, artificial, not grass, this and that. But there is a reason why they call it home ground advantage, isn't it? You know, I think it has to play a part if you want to call it home ground advantage. You know, I think that played a part. And
I think the rule has changed now.
yeah,
The rule has changed now that you
Correct.
can't play on artificial
Yes.
turf anymore.
it has to be grass.
It
yeah,
has to be
correct.
grass. So I think back then they had an advantage. Now they've
I think now it's going to be played at the Sports Hub and Bishan.
Yes.
I hear, right?
Yeah.
Both groups, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be grass, and of course, I think I don't know about you guys, right? Grass is always the best.
Yeah.
You know,
I-
especially with
Grass for me all time.
superb. man.
I'm 6'4". Don't ask me to play on an artificial turf. It's a nightmare to play on this kind of turf.
And you guys beat Thailand in the final, right?
Yeah, we beat
Was
Thailand.
this the one that Farah took ages to take the penalty?
Yeah, Farah had
This
to
was the one,
retake
right?
the penalty.
Yes, retake, right?
He had to retake the
Oh,
penalty.
this was, and I tell you what, it's crazy.
Farah is made of ice, man.
Yeah.
In 2007, if you can remember, he had to
Yeah, he had to do something like that
do
again, yeah.
the
True.
same thing at the old Kallang Stadium,
Yes.
and he did it again.
Yes.
So it was kind of a deja vu for
Yes,
me
yes.
for watching from the stands. Like, oh. But if in such a situation you want somebody to do it, Farah is your man. For
Exactly.
me, you know, man of steel. Yeah.
And you know that year the MVP was Sharili Shah. And I tell you what, he was very, very good that Suzuki Cup tournament. Who were the other standout performers, do you think?
For me, Farah
Yeah.
and Isa came in to cover me because I was injured, and I think they were immense. They
Right.
were the engine of the team. You know,
Right.
Farah was controlling everything, and Isa was by his side, you know, protecting the defense. They just gave that solid middle for the team
Yeah.
to build on, you know. And we had good technical players. We didn't play with out and out wingers. We had
Okay.
Sharan on the left, and we had
Yeah.
Shahi on the right.
Okay.
You know, and then we had options of like Amri and Durich, Alex Durich to come on from the bench, and so we had good options, you know. So just to be strong and solid in the middle, and you know, we have those boys up front who do the damage. Yeah.
Now, we talk about winning Suzuki Cup tournaments, and you guys have had that experience, right? What do you think are the ingredients? You know, if you talk about the whole thing, the whole, you know, package, what do you think are the ingredients that are necessary to win a tournament like this? It's like a World Cup, like you said, right, Sas, in before. It's like a World Cup tournament, basically, right? So what are the ingredients that goes into a tournament like this, do you think?
I think the fundamental thing is when you look at a team going into the competition,
Yeah.
a Singaporean team needs to be diverse. Every team that has won any title has diversity in the team.
Explain.
Look from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Anytime we've won anything major, there's a great representation of races in the team
Okay.
in terms of diversity.
Okay.
If you look at our 1998 team,
Right.
we had really good representation of Singapore, the Singapore team, right? Though we were all locals, but there were different races that made, because we all bring different character, skill sets.
Right.
I talked about Bernard Lim Soon Seng. The guy maybe not as skillful,
True.
but he put his head where a lot of people think about putting their leg,
Yeah.
and he can run whole day. But you don't expect a Rafi Ali to do that.
Yeah.
Rafi Ali will never do that. So different players bring different things. Then you fast forward and look at the team that Hariss has just described. You got the likes of Chiai. You had, I'm sure, at the back you had Mani. You had Lionel, right? You and Alex Durich and Farah. So you see the diversity within the team.
Yeah.
Everybody brings different teams, and I'm so convinced that every time we have a team that's not diverse, we don't win. Right? And history tells you, and you can go back and refer to all the teams that have succeeded and not succeeded. Diversity, especially from a Singapore perspective, plays a big role.
Right.
And I think that's something that we need to look at, we need to encourage. And I think if we are going forward in years to come, we need to start looking at a very inclusive and a very diverse team, because different people bring different skill sets.
Right.
And that has been my idea. And I might actually rub people the wrong way saying this, but that's the facts.
Okay.
If you go back in time and look at all the teams that won, there's diversity. And to me, I think that's the ingredient. And looking at the teams that won, they all bring, that's been the cornerstone for every victory we have achieved.
It's interesting because I haven't really looked at that in that perspective. Hariss, did you ever look at that? No, right?
It's something new, but
Exactly.
like Sasi mentioned. I mean, if you look at those teams, yeah, he's right.
Yeah.
How about you? What do you think that besides that, of course, I mean, in your opinion, what goes into a team that wins
I
a
mean,
tournament like that?
I feel that in football, generally speaking, best players has to play. Best
Okay.
players has to be in the team. But of course, I agree with Sasi. In our context in Singapore, we have very unique
Yeah.
context.
Yeah.
You know, we have different races, and they bring different qualities, different characteristics.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting, and thinking back to that 2012 team, yes, we did have different characters, different
Yeah.
so it was a nice mix, and
Okay.
it turned out well.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's something we have to look to cultivate in the years to come. Yeah.
It's a I don't know what you want to call it. It's a problem, in terms of the diversity that
Yeah.
we have, and we have to. It will take another couple of hours and days and years and months to really go through.
Actually, Sasi, if I can just say, because as you know, with my kids being involved in football at a grassroots level, I see a lot of diversity at that
Yes.
level. You
Yes.
see that too
Yes.
with your kids.
Loads.
A lot. And now with these intermarriages and stuff like that, it's becoming more and more
Yeah.
rampant.
Yeah.
It's all when it comes to a certain level, the kids quit because the academics take over. If we can find that barrier, if we can bridge that gap, and there are many ways that we can do that.
Yeah.
If we want to be successful, we really need to start looking at this, and I think that like I said, like you said, it's a challenge, but it's not that something's impossible to do.
Hariss, have you gone on a walkabout at Mata Road at the academy?
not yet.
Have not.
No.
I think you should. Like
Yeah.
I think it's on every day. Besides the pandemic and whatever.
Yeah.
Once it's open up and whatever, just take a walk, and you'll see. It's nice, right, to
Yeah,
watch.
it's amazing.
From the outside, just watching, looking in. It's diverse. You have. I don't know where these Chinese boys where they come from, and they are good players.
Yeah.
So it's amazing, and let's hope we move in that direction as well. That was part one. We talk about the past in terms of the Suzuki Cup and the past winners that we had, legends, total legends. We go on to the cup that is coming soon, the one in this year, at the end of the year. The first game is on 5th of December, right? Let's take a look at the tournament. And first thoughts first, right? Playing on home soil. When it first came out that, we're going to be playing in Singapore, what were your thoughts, Hariss?
Relief, so that we don't have to do quarantine.
Oh, that's a good point, man.
I mean, like whenever we come back, I mean, if we come back from overseas, we have to do quarantine wherever it is from. Like since we'll be in Singapore, it's going to be a bubble, and it's really. I mean, that was my first thoughts. But from a football perspective, I think it's going to be nice to play in the sports hub, and to have our families and basically Singapore supporting us. So it's been a while since we hosted. So yeah, we are really looking forward to it.
And fingers crossed as well that things don't take a backseat in terms of, or take a downturn in terms of the number of fans that can go in. Because right now it's 1,000, right? Let's hope it opens up a little bit more. Sas, your first thoughts?
My first thoughts, it's great. I think the home ground advantage is always important. I think the boys will probably get a bit more pressure in a good way to perform better here. And always playing in front of your home fans is just beautiful. I think playing in the National Stadium with your fans, it's better than playing at the Gelora Bung Karno Stadium with Indonesians screaming at you. You can't even hear each other. I think that's nice. And I'm with Hariss with the quarantine. I think quarantine kills any man mentally.
Mentally, right? And you're right. And we talk about home ground support. It's going to be huge, because even yesterday at Jalan Besar Stadium, right, it was brilliant to watch, right? The queues outside, even when it was raining, and the crowd singing for you. It's very nice to watch. It's back.
I was just on Facebook feed today, and there's one Singapore influencer guy, and uses a lot of vulgarities, right? That's the way he is. He talks a lot. But the guy was encouraging Singaporeans to go out there and support, and he was at the Lion City Sailors game, and he was talking about the SPL. in a way that I never heard anybody talk. Like there's so much passion. He says,
Who's this guy?
his name is just, I think, just Jarvis or something. His name.
Really?
Indian guy.
He was behind me on the bench. And he was screaming his lungs out. So, like,
No, but apparently he's got a big following, and he was urging people, and the way he said it, even though he was using a lot of vulgarities, but you could see the real passion.
Okay.
You know, he was like, yeah, you can support teams that 10,000 miles away, but these guys need your help. And it was amazing. The players were amazing. The game was amazing. So I was like, wow, finally someone is actually advocating local football. So I just hope, and this is not the only time we've seen in the last 20 years that people get passionate about local football, but eventually it dies a natural death because there's no follow through.
Yeah.
The good thing is now you got Lion City Sailors. They have got a bit of money to carry this thing forward.
Yeah.
They're playing good football. They're well backed. I think if all the other teams can actually step up
Yeah.
and try and do something. Like yesterday, I mean, you've got to give Balestier credit in the sense that they tried.
yeah.
They tried. They made it hard, made the game exciting, even though in the end it didn't happen. But that's what I think fans want. They just make it exciting. We know what somebody's going to win, but at least try your best, right?
Yeah. And it was a great advert yesterday, right, for Singapore football. Group A, Thailand, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, and either Timor-Leste or Brunei. Is that game going to go on, by the way? Any news?
The qualifying is going to happen.
Yeah, it is.
it's
So
gonna
it's
happen.
Timor-Leste and
Yeah,
Brunei.
Timor-Leste just announced their squad last week.
Okay, so and Group B is Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, Cambodia, and Laos. Your thoughts on the draw, Hariss?
People, I think media was asking me like, "You're happy with the group? You know, is it the easier group?" To me, like, I think there's no easy games in Southeast Asia anymore. I think pretty much most of the teams are on par. Maybe with the exception of Vietnam at the moment, because I think...
Don't worry, speak your mind. This one is not a press conference.
No, this is honest.
No, because your answer was like a press conference, you know. I feel like I'm in a media person.
No, because like they asked me whether it's an easy group, but to be honest, it's not really an easy group. Like, I did interview right after the draw was in Malaysian media, so I was with the Philippines captain. And he actually named us as one of the teams that they are wary of. So I think like everybody is looking over their shoulders a little bit, you know, at the moment in ASEAN. So to me, like it can go in anybody's way. You know, maybe with Vietnam, I think they are slight favourites with what they have achieved over the cup last
And defending
couple of years.
champions as well.
Yeah. So I think it's anybody's ball game. Yeah.
Sas, I'm just looking at Group A, right? Thailand, Myanmar, and Philippines. I'm looking at Myanmar as well.
So given the current political situation in Myanmar,
Yes.
it might not be easy for them to assemble the best players.
Right.
It
Good point.
It could come to a point where it's political. They probably might bring players that might not go against the current regime and stuff like that. You know how it's like, right?
Yeah.
So they might not have the best players, but I would love to see them come with the best players because they will be competitive. And Myanmar, in my opinion, is like an Indonesia. You don't know which team turns up on the day.
True.
Right? Yeah. And on the day, they can be really good and they can be really rubbish.
They're the hot or cold. So
Yeah, but I think, and I interviewed Yazin on my show, and he gave the same nice media bite like Hariss just did. But I can understand why, because they don't want to put themselves under
of course,
pressure. I appreciate that. That's actually a very smart thing to do. But let's be honest, and this is something I asked Yazin on the show. So you mean to say you prefer to be on the other group? But there are no easy games. I think we are not favourites to win it, but being at home gives us the advantage. And if I actually look at the team, if we let's break down the team, right?
Yeah.
We actually have a good team.
Okay.
We actually, given one, I just have to put one caveat: if the Iksan comes back to play,
Okay.
because I don't see who's going to get the goals besides him now.
Okay.
He's our number 9 and he will get goals. If he comes back and Hariss is back and Safwan is back, and one of those two goalkeepers between Izwan and Hassan, who played really well now, he's coming back to what we know of Hassan. That spine of the team, I think we can challenge anybody in Southeast Asia at the moment.
I think the problem has been the forward line in terms of a real, focal point, to score, I don't know, 5 or more goals in a tournament or something like that. So I think that is a good shout, right?
I think like what Sasi said, I think Iksan is going to be crucial because with his he's the man we go to for goals. But I must mention actually with Song getting his passport and last couple of games with Stipe injured, I think he's performed pretty well. But of course, international football is a different ball game altogether.
Yeah.
But I mean, having seen him up close, knowing him as a player and as a person, I think he's looking forward to making his international bow. And I think he's somebody who's going to give us a lot, you know. So I think he's one of those options definitely that I think coach might have in mind if something.
Actually, it's a very, very good point he brought up. So yesterday when I saw him playing up front, I was like, we have never seen him play up front. He was
just behind. Usually,
But I thought he led the line really well. But there's a difference between playing against the ballasted back line and playing against the Thai back line, right?
Yeah.
There's a big difference. But you can see his movement. He's strong. He's strong on the ball.
Yeah.
And I think more importantly, from what I see, and I've also interviewed him on my show, that the boy is disciplined. Right. He's got certain discipline that he's inbuilt, which is a Korean way, right? So I think he will bring something to the team. He'll definitely bring something to the team. But if we are going to rely on him for goals, I think that's a bit of a big ask for somebody who's just going into international football.
True.
But to me, Iksan is going to make a big difference.
Top 2 from Group A? Come on,
Don't put me
Hariss.
on the spot, man.
Come on, Hariss. Top 2?
That was quick to ask. I'd say Thailand and us.
Sas?
I think so too.
Yeah?
Like I said, if we can get goals,
Yeah.
I think we are good enough to defend. I think we'll make the top 2, at least in Group 1.
How about Group B? Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Cambodia, and Laos. Yeah.
That's a tough one. Vietnam, I think it's for what they are today.
For sure.
For sure. I think if you look at the China game, right? If you watch, they came back from 2-0 down.
It's a close game.
Very close. They considered in the 95th minute, right? They've got a very, very strong team that can come and hurt people. And then you got Indonesia, right?
Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia, Laos.
So if Malaysia calls back all their foreign-born players, they have a chance. But they got hammered in Jordan and Uzbekistan.
Oh yeah, recently.
Uzbekistan. But don't forget that even Indonesia, if they call back all their players in Europe, they got quite a few players in Europe now.
Yeah.
So
Malaysia will depend on whether the players are. Hariss was telling me before.
It's a backstory.
Backstory. Whether the players will be playing or not, right? So which players turn up for the tournament for Malaysia?
Yeah, you're talking about. Are you talking about the current league players or the ones?
No, he's talking about JDT.
Okay.
Sas, you see that was already just 2 months beforehand a mini preview of the tournament, okay? And I think we've done this the first here on the show. Sasi, from experience, right? Tournament starts in about
6 weeks. I think 7 weeks.
Less than 2 months, there and thereabouts, right? How does the team go about planning to conquer this competition like this? Like, you've got like almost 2 months, right?
Yeah.
And Hariss was telling me before as well that this is the first time, because our tournament is, our league is ended, and most of the players are from our league anyway.
Yeah.
So they've got a proper, 2 or months less time to prepare. How do they go about doing this now?
Actually, I wanna maybe throw this question out, right?
Yeah.
If you look at the core of the team, right? If I were to pick my first 11 as it starts today, very few, I would say half the team is not here.
Okay.
Right? If you look at the first starting 11, let's say we go with
Let's pick our lineup.
Let's go with Hassan in goal.
He's out of this, obviously.
So Hassan is in goal.
Will be Tatsuma Yoshida.
Yeah, that will be Tatsuma. I've got a C license coaching that, so we did it together. Remember?
Yeah.
So we got let's say Hassan in goal.
Okay.
The 2 centre backs are not here. Irfan and Safwan are not here.
Okay.
They play away.
Okay.
Then if you look at our centre midfielder, he's here.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Sitting
Shadan.
next to and possibly Shadan.
Yeah.
Right? And then you look at our striker, he's not here.
Okay.
So I would say that's almost 40% of the team that's not here,
Okay.
right? So I don't know how ideal the situation will be,
Okay.
but it's good that you have the majority of the team here.
Yeah.
But my biggest question here is, how are they going to prepare? Because they cannot play against Albirex and go to the Suzuki Cup. They need to go somewhere where they get good preparation. Like Hariss just said, in 2012, they played Pakistan and won 4-0.
Probably you guys need to play Pakistan again. It's an omen, man.
So but
Go call up the fella from
Another question
Pakistan.
if they can come in.
Yeah,
exactly.
So the big question is, where will they go to prepare? Because I think the players will appreciate it. Now the break can happen. Now hopefully they're given a break. But I'm pretty sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, Hariss, you want to quickly get back into preparation for that, right? And then preparing here is very different from being in camp. Then where you can be focused and you want to play and also give the other boys a chance to stake a claim, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be crucial. And I'm pretty sure they are planning something, but I hope that doesn't get disrupted because of all these COVID issues. And
Hariss, you probably can answer maybe one or two
Lineup?
questions. No, not lineup.
give us your lineup.
We've already played Tatsuma, okay? As in, are you guys planning to go anywhere? Because you had just had a meeting or something today? No?
No, we didn't have the meeting.
Okay.
The meeting got cancelled. But
Right.
yeah, I'm hearing that we are going somewhere. But
Okay.
as of now, it's not.
As in
confirmed.
overseas?
Yeah, in the next window that's coming up in November.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think
So
there's some
probably-
plans for that, but we don't know exactly where. Yeah.
Okay. So hopefully that goes well, and I think that I think the point about going overseas as well, and playing games as well, and also the point about being together, for that period of time, I think it makes a lot of difference.
I mean, we saw from the last World Cup qualifier, without Hariss there, they didn't have a leader. I want to go back to the point where I mentioned about Nazri being the leader in '98, right? I think this is the moment where someone like Hariss can step up and say, hey guys, things are not really good for us. It didn't go really well for us at the World Cup qualifier, but this is a chance to redeem ourselves at home. Because I think how we perform in the Suzuki Cup will have an effect on next season's SPL. If we can have a good run, I think we'll have a good SPL season next year because fans will come back.
Spillover effect.
true,
I think it's
true.
going to be. Yeah.
So hopefully, and we can see the likes of Hariss and Safwan step up and say, okay, this is our moment. Let's put on a show.
Listen, you brought up a very good fact about this leadership thing, which was missing in the last the World Cup, because I did the commentary, and I know there was this game, Saudi against you guys, right? And I don't think anyone at home saw the footage, because I from where I was, I saw this footage of Saudi Arabia in the dressing room before the game, and it was their captain. I think it was Salman Al Faraj, right?
Yeah.
He was in the dressing room. He was probably the second coach now, right? And he was riling the player up like he was the coach, and they were playing again. Like you never thought that they would be playing against Singapore in that game. He was like really playing up against Holland or something like that. So I think you made a very good point. I don't think we have that. Probably without you or even Safwan, So I think that's very important, Sas. I think it plays a major role.
No, it is important. I tell you why. Let's look at the team, the composition of the team. No one has really achieved anything in that team so far. If you take away Hariss, you take Hariss out, maybe even to a certain degree Hassan and maybe Safwan out, right? Even the likes of Irfan and Iksan, they've not really achieved anything in football yet. Not like these guys. So they will look to the guy that has been there. I mean, you got how many caps now? More than 100 now already? 101. These are the games that you look for the guy that has been there, done that, has the T-shirt. And then that's where you look to him to say, hey, how do I react in this situation? We used to do that. I mean, with Fandi, with Malik, with David, we used to do that. So, and even with the likes of Kade and Nazri afterwards. So these are the guys that had to step up there and say, hey, do this and do that. I mean, yesterday, while he was on the pitch, I could see that there was a pass they made, and you straight away turn to the player and say, don't make that pass, like don't play that pass. So these are the things that as players we pick up, as coaches we pick up, and football observers pick up, because that's important. Because the guy won't make the same mistake again, otherwise he's going to get a earful, right?
True.
So these is the subtle nuances that leaders bring to the field, and it was very evident in the last World Cup that we didn't have somebody like that.
Hariss, what from your communication with your teammates from the national setup as well, LCS, right? What is the mood at the moment? Especially after the season has gone and finished in the league, in terms of national setup in the Suzuki Cup. What is the mood like? Are the players like really?
To be honest, I think it's a little bit of a relief that we are able to play the Suzuki Cup again. Because with what happened with the pandemic of last year or so, we don't know how football was going to be, how we're going to play again, how we're going to travel again, and stuff like that. So to be honest, even the games in June, we only knew that it was going to take place only early this year. So to have a tournament like the Suzuki Cup, the scale of the tournament, to be able to play it at home, I think the boys are looking forward to it. And I think you could see, for myself, where we had the group chat and the team was announced, and you got to see the boys were excited and and stuff like that. So I think it's excitement right now really, but nerves and pressure will start coming up once we are nearer to the tournament.
I don't want to put you on the spot, right? Maybe Sasi can talk about this as well, but I just want to hear you. Is this the best team that we have at the moment from the squad of, what is it, 30 or
27?
27.
At the moment it's 27.
Is that at the moment you think,
I think so. I think we have the players capable, but it's now about finding the right mix.
Yeah.
You know, the right to fit the puzzles in the right places. Yeah.
What has Tatsuma Yoshida brought to the table since he's taken over?
I think he's a bit fearless. I think he's gone out and said in the press conference that we're looking to win it. You know,
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So I mean that's him. He goes into every game, whether it's Saudi Arabia or you're playing Cambodia, he wants to go into win, and that's something that's instilled into us. And I think he's given us a little bit of freedom ever since he's come in. You know, even against the big boys to actually go out there, try to do some damage. You know, but keep it nice and tight, which is, I think, basic of football. You know, you have to defend, you have to attack, and you know, you have to try to score goals, and you have to try to not concede any goals. So he's trying to make it as simple as possible for us. You know, it's a simple game if we just complicate it ourselves. So I think that's what we that's what we have to try to do. Yeah.
Has you seen anything that you know from your perspective?
I think initially when they appointed him, I was one of those people who kind of thought that, hey, as an international manager, he didn't have the pedigree. I just go by our previous managers, our the coaches. They all had some pedigree at different levels. So he came in as a young coach, and I think in this instance kind of worked for us because he was hungry to prove himself at international level, and he came in and instilled a bit of belief in the boys to start playing football. Like, you can play football again. But unfortunately, I think in the last the World Cup qualifiers, he did show his international naivety in the sense that there were things that he could have done to make a change. He didn't. He stuck with it. Some selection, I think, was very naive. Like, for example, in the opening game, he played Ilhan up front. Like, you cannot throw a boy that is just come into professional football as your main number 9 in the opening game of your World Cup qualifiers. I don't know what took over him to think that he's going to do. I mean, I'll give you an example. The first game we played was against Palestine. Okay, the ball came. Ilhan flicked, and Ilhan is skillful. He flicked it past the centre back, who's the captain. The ball went behind. The centre back, being a centre back, a former centre back, I said, okay, you did that, right? The next one, he went through Ilhan, right? And did you see Ilhan for the rest of the game? He's gone, right? So these are the things that at international football you cannot take a chance. You lost a young boy within the first few minutes. He's gone. Like, he wasn't going to hold the ball. So I think he showed some weakness, but let's give him a chance. Like, really, let's get behind him, give him a chance. I think if you look at the squad, he's picked maybe one or two, maybe. In fact, on the weekend, I was even talking about why he picked Shakir, which for me he shouldn't have picked Shakir. And different people called up on the show and had different things, but. To me, is if somebody walks out of the camp, he shouldn't be allowed in. Maybe old school, huh? But, and some of the guys on the show said, you're too old school. You should put your hands around him and treat people differently. I said, but Hariss will tell you this, and wearing the shirt needs to have some pride. You need to have some pride in wearing the shirt, and I have a problem with that. But having said that, he's a quality player, and I'm sure he's an asset.
You brought a good point about the freedom part, and I've seen that, right? The players are playing with a little bit more freedom. You know, there's no just playing defensive and then trying to counter or whatever. So I think that's the good part. And you talk about the being fearless and coming in as a young coach, and I think he's done. And of course, let's not take away the fact that it was those World Cup qualifying games. They were playing against Saudi Arabia, who've made it to the World Cup a couple of times already. Uzbekistan as well, with Shomurodov, who plays for Roma now, I think. Right? So a top caliber team. So obviously in the Suzuki Cup, I wouldn't say that he's going to be having it much easier, but a little bit easier, obviously.
No,
right?
I think the World Cup qualifiers, I think nobody expected us to win.
Yeah, true.
I think the only team that we could have troubled is Palestine. We should have troubled them. I think, right? But they were hungry to do something, so we were not. But Suzuki Cup is a different thing, right? I think we are more level playing ground, except for Vietnam, probably, who are a bit different from us. But I think the rest should be thereabouts.
Any players to look out for, Hariss? Do you think for this Suzuki Cup, our players or even the opponents? Any players that you think that
To be honest, I don't know too much about the other opponents. Like Myanmar is unknown.
How about the Thais?
depends on whether they have their
right.
foreign players back. You know, the likes of Chanati, but he has been injured quite a bit. So I think he's in a good age in his career as well to you know do something. As for us, I think I mean, club football. I mean, in Singapore and international football, it's different level. You know, but I've been pretty impressed with my teammate Saifullah. You know?
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's got some.
Not
good
only because
qualities.
he's LCS.
No.
Yeah.
I think he's got some good qualities.
Right.
I think he moves well around the pitch, and you know, despite his size, I think he's aggressive. He has that little bit of nastiness, same as Hami Shahid.
Yes,
Where
yes.
I mentioned this about Hami, but Hami is on the standby list. So I like this thing about these two players. You know, that aggressiveness in them a little bit. So.
Okay.
So I think he'll be, given that it's his first tournament, I think he'll be one to look at as well.
Yeah, reigning Young Player of the Year recipient as well. You know, and he was talking about the story about him not wearing shin pads during training, and you had a go at him for not wearing shin pads, right? He told me that story. For you, Sas, any players to look out for, especially the opponents? I think you're a keen watcher of local and
Yeah,
football.
I mean, Hariss brought up a good point about the foreign-based players. I think Thailand has quite a few players playing in J League. They have a couple playing in K League. Their first-choice goalkeeper Kawin plays in Belgium. So they've got players. Actually, they also got a player in Leicester City in the under-21s.
Okay.
So if they brought all those players back, I think it would be a different proposition altogether. But I think the FIFA dates will not allow those players to come.
Okay.
Some might come because they're not part of the squad or whatever. I think also Indonesia. Not a lot of people know this, but there's a lot of Indonesian players playing in Europe now, in Holland and in England and a few other places. And if they get their act together, they can be dangerous.
Yeah.
But I still think that our boys, given the right situation and given the right support, and I really, and I say this from the bottom of my heart, I really want players like Gabriel Quack to step up. I think Gabriel has had a decent season, and he's at the age where he needs to be an international player. Enough of being a SPL player, right? He went to Thailand, came back good. Now he needs to play at an international level. Even Faris Ramli, like they got to be better players at international level. They have the quality to be that level, right? And if these players can step up, and then you got the old guards at when I say old, I mean the more the 100 cap Hariss and Safwan, who's had a decent season in Malaysia. Hassan is on his way back. I think Hassan is who we know he is. And like I said, I keep saying this and I'll keep stressing this. Iksan is going to be our key, and if he can get the crucial goals, and he will lead the line because he's played in Norway, physical, he can hang on to the ball and stuff. If he can lead the line for us, I think these guys will get up and support him, and we will get the odd goal.
I think you brought up a very good point about players stepping up, and you pointed out some key players or players specifically, and I think you're right. You know, players like Gabriel Craig, I think he's the top local goal scorer in the SPL, right? And again, Player of the Year from last season, Faris Ramli, who we know can trouble any defense, and even at international level. Yes, we talk about stature, he's small in size or whatever, but he has the skills, right? But it's about going up there.
The frustrating thing about and I've been critical of Faris many times. The reason why I'm critical is because you know what he's capable of doing, right?
True.
And the easy decision to do is pass the ball back, which frustrates me as a football observer. When you know the guy one-on-one, he can take on players. So if they can do that, they will then give opportunity for the likes of Hariss and all that to go forward. You know, if they keep playing the ball backwards, I think and that's something I noticed about Tatsuma. He hates it when players play the ball back, right? He hates it. So which is a good start.
Yeah, of course, and of course that is the part about being fearless, right? Just go play with a little bit more of freedom. Hariss, how big will this tournament be in terms of putting out? Okay, I'm not going to put you on the spot and say go out and win it, but I'm saying a very, very good performance, because we went out the past 3 tournaments in the group stages. I don't think I don't think it's good enough, right? How important or how big this is?
Yeah, it's a chance at redemption for us, to be honest, because it's been disappointing. The last couple of campaigns, we didn't do what was required of us. So I think the boys have to look at this as a case of redemption, you know, and at home in front of our fans. So we can soak it all in, you know, make the pressure work in our way again instead of against us, you know, and go out there and play like you mentioned fearlessly, and our coach demands that. So I think we have the setup to do well, but you know it all depends on us and how we prepare and how we're gonna turn up. Yeah.
And let's not take away the fact that luck is important.
Yeah, in a tournament, luck is everything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you get offside decision that goes alongside you,
True.
a tackle that you
Yeah.
know the referee might not pick up. So it is important, but I also believe that you got to create your own luck, right?
Yeah, of course. And how big will this be if they win it? If they win it.
I think given the context of what's been happening in the last couple of months with the Unleash the Raw, all the different projects, and with the Lion City Sailors going privatization and a few more clubs looking to go private, this will be a much needed catalyst for Singapore football.
As the winner in 1998, any messages for the players?
No, just have pride wearing the shirt. I think the people came before these guys had to bleed to wear that shirt. I think not just for them, I think for their own pride as well, for the people watching them, paying their hard-earned money to go to the stadium and taking time to go and support them, give them something to cheer about.
Yeah.
Let us be proud Singaporeans again.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing.
Hariss, any messages for the fans?
I just hope the fans will come out in numbers. I hope they increase the cap for the stadiums, you know, especially for the Sports Hub where it's a bigger venue, and we can, you know, feel the full support, the full force of the home crowd, and you know, hopefully luck is on our side and we can give them a good tournament. Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for being on the show. I think it has been wonderful, and we even had a preview of the tournament. We had a preview of the tournament. We spoke about the last campaigns in terms of winning it in 98. And in 2012, we had a mini press
Yeah,
conference.
exactly.
You know,
How long have we been talking, by the way?
just slightly less than an hour.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Felt like a long time.
Yeah, but it was good, right?
Yeah,
I think it was good. Speaking about old times as well, some of the old footballers, and of course, we really look forward to the Suzuki Cup, right? We are all lovers of the game. We are lovers, and we want to support the national team, and we are definitely supporting the national team. So, Hariss, Captain Hariss, thank you so much for being here, and Sas, obviously, for sharing your thoughts on what's happening.
Thank you.
Yep, and cheers. So, by the way, listeners, if you are listening in and you're watching this as well, do not forget to click on the follow or subscribe button. And we are everywhere, by the way, and leave a review if you want to. The hustle beats talent when talent doesn't hustle. Cheers.